Why don't you take it and do it and then hand it to me afterwards? Make sure that it's live. Hello and welcome to this episode of He Said, She Said. I am Melanie Smith, and normally my husband Stephen Smith will be sitting here with me, but today he is under the weather, so keep him in prayer. Amen. But joining me today are my special guests. This is Jeremiah Prude and Yolanda Prude. These are my friends, and we have a lot of things that we want to talk about today. So I am just excited to have you here to hear what he has to say and what she has to say on a few matters that we like to discuss on a regular basis. So we want to discuss them all with you today to give you a little insight on some things and to see how other people see the same things that we see. That's the whole purpose of this show. So we know that there are different perspectives from men as there are from women, and sometimes from house to house. So we just want to share some things. So today I really want to talk about how we balance ministry, marriage, family, and business without overloading, without neglecting any area. And Jeremiah is big on this. I believe this is an area that God is going to really use you in ministry for, especially dealing with men in men's ministry. And as you establish what the balance is and where the boundaries lie, that I believe that God is going to use you to help other people establish those same things. So I'm really, excited to have this conversation with you. And just a little, I'll give a backstory and then I'll let you all give the backstory. I've known Yolanda for over 20 years. It's been a very long time. And for probably, I'll say 2 chapters of Yolanda's life. And God is really purposeful and intentional the way he does things. And just even how all of this came about, I was really pondering on this before. And if it had not been for a brief time that we weren't in like regular contact, and then I reached back out, and when she responded to me, the answer that I got, and then I responded, and then she responded, and then she came where I was, and then it opened up another chapter of life for her. And I'm not saying I'm responsible, but I'm saying God is intentional.
Absolutely.
He's absolutely intentional. And so with this new life that she has walked into, and now we have Jeremiah Prude and in the picture, and it's a blessing, and I'm just excited for everything that God is doing in you guys' life. But with that comes challenges, because you went from single man with a dog, a single military man with a dog. Yeah. So that's a structured single man with only having to worry about beauty eating.
You're right.
Right. That's exactly right. To take care of my apartment and my dog and do what I want to do, to walking into this whole new world of children and in-laws and and then expanding into ministry and administration, not just ministry in behind the pulpit, but the administration part behind the desk at the church, and then expanding into starting businesses as well. So with all of that, you have a whole lot of hats that you're wearing. Yolanda was already wearing a lot of hats, but you met Yolanda and you gained about 10 more hats as these things. I just started thinking about it.
Right. That's true. That's what happened.
Yeah. And so, how do you balance all of these hats? How do you?
It's funny you asked me that, because one of my best friends I just talked to, Phil, yesterday, I think I was talking to him. He's like, man, Jay, I just be looking at you, bro. And he was like, how do you do it, man? Working for your father in ministry, being a father in businesses. And I was like, man, really the most practical side of it is, I got to keep your prayer life together. You know what I mean? You got to stay connected to the head, you know, for, just to keep order. Because God says if your vertical relationship with God is in contact, and your horizontal relationships will do better. I don't do well outside of Christ. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't. You know what I mean? That's just how he just made it up. That's how he did it. I don't know. But I got to be intact with the Lord. Have my relationship with the Lord. Then it impacts my vertical relationship with my family. So that's why I got to make sure that's the most important thing. Then the practical side of it, man, is you got to get everything its attention. You know what I mean? When I get up in the morning, my boy was asking me, I forgot to tell him this part, but he was asking me, I said, I told my wife about it, she know I do a to-do list. You know what I mean? Every day of what I have to do. That's how it just can't be in my head to get things done, to balance it off, because I'm doing a lot if I think about it. But I get, once I knock something off my to-do list, I feel accomplished. And it's not like all in my head. I knock it off from that day. So the most practical way to do it is having a to-do list of things you need to do, and you mark it off when you're done with it. And if you don't get it all done that day, that's okay. Put it at the top of the list the next day. You know what I mean? That's Absolutely. The most practical way to get things done and get fulfillment. And as far as being a wife, it's being a husband and having a wife and children, because I just got an instant family. You know what I mean? So think about it. I'm coming from an apartment with just my dog and me chilling. Mm-hmm. My dog Beauty to a whole family. So it was an adjustment. I'm not going to tell y'all it was easy, because I'm not a person that was used to a lot of noise in my house. You know what I mean?
And you went to a noisy house.
I'm used to peace and quiet, man. You know what I'm saying? And then, but it's a two-edged sword, because when I started to complain about it, the Lord was like, man, you remember you was in your... I said, well, Lord, he took me back. He remember using your quiet apartment with your dog and the walls is closed and then I said, why you had to go there with that? You know what I'm saying? He tried to remind me when I started tripping. This is just to be honest with y'all. Yes. But it's still an adjustment, though, because I was like, man, I'm used to quiet. But it has filled a void in my life I didn't know I had. I'll be honest about that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to admit to the full extent. I put it like that. But like I said, it's still an adjustment. Having kids and everybody wants something. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants attention.
Yes.
Everybody have different needs. You
right.
know what I'm saying? The wife got needs. The kids got needs. You know what I mean? They might not even say it.
The
dog got needs.
Yeah. Beauty definitely got needs.
You know what I'm saying? My dog Beauty got needs.
He got needs.
And so, I guess it goes with the word says. He says the solitary in families. That's what he did with me. He set me in a family. But as far as balancing it all, you don't get it right all the time. Now, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit up here and say I'm this Superman. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes stuff lack. No, I'm not Superman. But sometimes stuff lack, and you just got to get it right the next day.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You can't beat yourself up. You know what I mean? Because I'm a man that like to get stuff done. I like to be about my business. And I'm just gonna say this, and not let somebody else talk. But the thing about it is this: when my uncle taught me this, when you say I'm about my father's business, and we like to compartmentalize a lot of things and say this is the church work, this is God's work, right? And if God is living on the inside of us, think about it. Everything we do is a part of his business. Right. It ain't just church, family. That's his business. If you know what I mean? If he says it says the steps of a good man, or about a Lord, or another translation say he busy. I was just thinking about this the other day. It said he busies himself with his every step. Mm-hmm. In other words, if I'm involved in it, he's involved in it. So I'm not compartmentalizing everything. This is church. Well, it's work. It's all God is in it.
In the midst of all of it.
Midst of all, but it's about keeping that even balance. Because the Bible said man don't take care of his y'all know his family is worse than the infidel. So you don't want to be that dude. Right. But then you want to get a church. But it's got to have balance, man. Yep. You got to have balance. And you got to learn how to say no sometimes to certain things.
That part.
To give to the other thing.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That part.
I do the church work. I work for my father's business, but then I got to get my business some attention too.
That's right.
If I want to grow it.
That's right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I got to spend time with the kids and get to know them better as much as when I go into their world. I got to visit their world. They have their own world. They all got their own world. You know what I'm saying? Their world is. I think their world is carefree, but I'm not gonna say that. They might have cares, but they have a different world than we do.
A different level of cares.
A different level of care. They're dealing with their little issues. I think they little, but they still their issues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They dealing with their little stuff that's going on in their little world, and they had a crisis in their world, might be frivolous to me,
Right.
but it might be a crisis to them.
That's
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm new in this role. I'm not gonna say I'm seasoned, but I am in here. So I'm not gonna sit up here and lie and tell no fibs. I'm just great. Write a book on it.
Come on.
But I'm not writing no book on it yet.
Not
I need some
Not
season.
yet.
But it's coming.
But I'm still learning. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it right all the time. But I mean, it teaches you having a family. I've been on both sides now about being single and being, with a family and with and with a ready-made family. Man. You know what I'm saying? It's tripped out, but I see the rewards of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like I said, it has its pros and cons, and being single has pros to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it does. But it's all how you look at it.
That's right.
The totality of the whole situation.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress, but it's a good work. You know what I mean? Because you get to cultivate people, and cultivate yourself, cultivate your wife, cultivate your marriage, cultivate your business. And I'm excited about my business because it's like a baby. You know what I mean? You got to feed it. You got to put work in. You, like a marriage, you can't get in what you don't. Cannot get out what you don't put in.
That's right.
You know, so sowing is just not for. You sow in every area of your life, not just in a certain area. All right. So sowing and reaping applies to every area of your life, not just in the ministry in the church. You sow into soil of your life, you reap what you put in there. So
That's right.
and so y'all know I can talk. So somebody.
It's awesome. It's wonderful. That's great. So let's just get a little perspective on you, Yolanda, because you had a whole life before JP. He had a life, but he was a single man, but you were not that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about where you came from and how you got to this point.
Yeah. So we are, for people who don't know, it'll be 3 years, December 18th, that we've been married. So it's 3 years. So when you talk about something definitely new in the game, it's new in the game. So I was a little bit apprehensive. I was a little nervous about him and the whole thing with the kids because my house has always been busy.
Yes.
And so having 4 kids, my kids got friends. My house has always been that house that folks want to come to and hang out. And so now that my kids are older, even with the youngest being 16, they got babies coming to my house. So It's like now even more of that. And then their friends are even bigger and stuff like that. So it's definitely a transition. But the one thing that I say have made this very good, I know he, jokingly said he not Superman, but what I think kind of helped was that he was ready. He was ready.
Yeah, he was.
He was ready. And I think that makes a difference in understanding, especially if you men are here and interested in marrying women or getting with women who have children, you have to be ready for all of that because all of that becomes a thing. Yes, I'm a mother. I've always been in ministry. I've always worked. But because he's come in the door so humble, it's made me easier to be able to accept his, go sit down. You need to stop doing so much. You're being too busy. That part of the relationship. And honestly, he's always been willing. Even like when we first got married, my kids go to school. He didn't get up from day one. Like, I take the kids to school. Like, he's always been willing. And I think that's what's kind of made this easier. It's just him being more willing to ease in, being open to the whole prospect of being married. People always want to talk about something. I want to get married. But the question really is, are you really ready for that? Do you even really know what it entails? Because we got to be on one accord to be able to balance the relationship and also balance, if you say work, family, knowing who needs what when they need it. My girls, I have 2 girls and 1 boy that live in that house. And so my boy is definitely different than them girls. And with him, he looking at them girls like... What is happening?
They're different species. They're a different breed.
But it's helping you understand.
Oh, it is.
It
is.
Which is going to carry over into ministry.
Yes.
As we grow in ministry and prepare to launch out into our own areas of ministry, you're going to encounter all of these personalities.
Right.
So even dealing with children and walking into the household with a ready-made family is showing you some things about women that you probably didn't even know.
Yeah, because he's definitely, especially with my youngest daughter, him and my youngest daughter had a little bit of issue at the beginning. and they had to resolve that. But it was all just based on them getting to know each other and who they are. Like language matters, right?
Yeah.
That makes a difference. Behavior matters. You know, JP has nieces, so he's always been around girls. But then his nieces, he can kind of do what he want to do with them. He can squeeze their noses and all kind of stuff that he wants to do when they were kids. But it's different when you are growing up with girls and they have a father.
Right.
And so because their dad is active in their life, him having to be able to know what to say, when not to say it, how to say it, has been not always easy.
Yes.
But he's always been willing to listen to how to change it.
And that's so great.
And
because
that's the important part.
Looks really good from where I stand. It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And you've done very well. And I would even say, even mastering, getting along with, because I have that same dynamic.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know, so even
Same way, right?
mastering,
Yeah.
getting along with the other parent that is actually present.
Yes.
I walked into a ready-made family as well,
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
and
so you
and
know.
was willing to assist in
Yeah.
raising, you know, two boys, and whose mothers were very present
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we established early on
Yeah.
we're gonna have a good relationship, and whenever it was rocky, I'm the one anyway that I'm always like, wait a minute, let's sit down, let's get this. You know, I don't like
Right.
stuff lingering.
Right,
We're gonna
right,
fix this.
right. We're gonna figure this out.
So we need to talk. We need a conversation. Let's have a meeting. Let's get it together. And I always felt like that because it works better for the child. It's
Yes.
never beneficial for the kids
You're
when the
right.
parents are bickering and arguing.
Right.
And if you know, y'all together now. So whatever was. This is what is.
Right.
So none
Right.
of that even matters anymore.
Right.
You know, so it's like, be angry and bitter and upset for what?
Right.
This is what is. Respect what is, and let's do what we need to do for the sake of the children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, once you understand that, and I wish people would get out of their own ways and do what's necessary so that the kids can have what they need. I need to be able to have a safe place over there and over here.
Yes,
I need
yes.
to be able to trust there and here. I don't need to be able to play both ends against the middle.
Right.
When there was a problem with the kids, I need to be able to call over there and say, hey, this is what's going on over here.
Yeah.
I need you to know that for when they get over there.
Yeah.
You know, those
Yeah.
are things that people don't think about that.
Yeah.
And so the
Right.
kids kind of grow up like, you know, feeling like either they're responsible or they don't feel safe anywhere.
Right,
They
right.
think mother is fragile or father is fragile. They don't know what's going on. And it
Yeah.
puts a lot of weight and pressure on children that they should not be carrying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's really good. I love the fact that you all get along, you know, because her ex is my friend.
Yes,
And we
yes,
got along very
yes,
well.
yes.
And I love the fact that y'all get along because now I don't have to feel any kind of way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can still greet him with a holy kiss because that's what was and this is what is.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so that's a blessing to me, and I'm glad that you all established that. Is wonderful.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I think even going back to the whole concept of you have to, first of all, make sure you're ready, right? And so me and him dated, he ain't meet my kids. I had to get to know him on my own to make sure he understood that I do have children and what that looked like and what that meant. And so him having to come in after the fact was good because now I know his demeanor. I know what type of person he's going to be. And so I can prepare also my kids. And so the kids laugh. They will tell you they can mock JP like nobody's business. Like they know his no mean no. And that no is stern. But they be like, we're going to still ask anyway because they know he's soft, right? They know they can still get it over just a little bit based on how they ask the question, right? And so they know it can change based on that. But they also know there's still certain things. And so me and him talk about it all the time. And also to me being the mother and my kids being older, being able to accept that I have not done everything correct. And there's habits that I've created for my children that need to change.
I'm so happy you say that.
Yeah, it's
because there's so many people that won't even admit because
Yeah.
who knows everything and who does anything
That's right.
perfectly.
That's right.
So to
That's
be
right.
able to say, okay, well, I didn't do that quite right, and to be
Yeah.
able to even admit that to the kid so that they understand that you are not this superhuman being that does nothing wrong. I didn't do that right because I didn't know, but now I know and I want to do better, and I'm bringing that to you so that you won't grow up and make the same mistakes that I
Absolutely.
made.
Right.
That's so good. I commend you for it. That's
Yeah,
good.
because he has to live there too.
Right.
And so he has to be around them. And if he's picking up and dropping off and doing things and spending money, he has just as much as right to say things
That's
as I
right.
have to
That's
say.
right.
And so being able to know that I've had, he would say, they got to learn. Yes, you're right. They have to learn. How do they have to learn? And swallow my pride and be like, don't be talking about my kids. But, but have to swallow that and be like, okay, you are correct, because it puts judgment as a parent that you've done something wrong. And the truth be told, you have. So I know there's some things that my kids have to change that we're working on and constantly having the conversation.
He's bringing the balance
So
to-
we
to
got,
some
we went and
areas.
got a whole whiteboard, and now we got the chore dates up there for dishes and all that
That's
kind
the
of
military
stuff.
in them
And,
coming out.
we got the grocery list is up there, structure.
Yeah.
And so we
It's a
talk a
balance.
lot about that.
Yes, it's
know.
balance.
And he's even more comfortable with even saying things to the kids. Like my youngest daughter has a bad habit of cleaning up her room, and she sweep all the trash into the hallway. And instead of her picking it up on that day, she leave it right there and be like, "Girl, you see that trash? Like you walk right past it. If you don't get that trash up, you don't get that trash up." And so it's breaking those habits and things. But I think once again he came willing.
Yeah.
He came ready. He knew what it was coming into a family and what that meant. So he came ready. He came ready, and I was ready. Like I was like, okay, it's gonna be some great things. And the kids adore him. I mean,
They do.
They talk about him all
do.
the time. Like today, he was working really hard yesterday, and so Marche comes down and says, "I'm gonna pray God give you a day off."
Kids, man. I will say this: kids do some things that touch you. You know what I mean? I love them. I do love the kids. They love me. But it's a process, man. Kids can soften your heart up. You know what I mean? Because you got to think about it. I come from the military, man, and ain't no excuse. I mean, just get it done. You know what I mean? Really, that's how. And this military made me, shaped me. When I was 21. You know what I'm
military, retired military, not no 3 years or 4 years.
No, man,
Right.
20 years,
Yeah,
but it shaped
yeah.
me. But the thing is, we come to a family and dealing with children. I had troops, you know what I mean? So I know how to deal with people, but it's still different
Yeah,
with
you do.
children. You know what I mean? You got to teach them. You got to be patient. You know
Say
what I
that
mean?
word again.
And
You gotta be
praise,
patient.
praise partial progress is what I
right.
keep saying. Praise partial
And what
progress.
Miller said, that you
Yes.
got sometimes every now and then they surprise me a lot. Be like, oh, why they did that?
They hurt. Oh, they
You know what I mean?
hurt.
And you got to lead by example.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you gotta children. You can't say do as I say. Don't do. You can't do that. They gonna look at what you do. So you gotta set the example of leadership, and it's hard.
Absolutely.
It ain't easy. It's hard. You know what I mean? Leadership is hard on any level, any
That's
type
right.
of leadership, because you gotta be the example that you preaching. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even think they knew what. They heard me barking and stuff about dishes. So I said, let me do this like for 3 or 4 days. I cleaned the whole kitchen. They looking at, like I can. And it's just how kids are. They think you can't do it because they see you do it. I'm like, are you serious?
And let me show you the way that I like
Yeah,
it.
let me do it for you. Let me do. Oh, you did it? Yeah, I did it. You clean the kitchen. Yeah, I know how to do this. And it reminded me when I was in the military. You go to a whole base. You could be an NCO in charge. We're in charge. I don't know what that is. You could be in charge or whatever. And I'm like, I just met them, but you still gotta make an impression on them too. Even if they don't know the sergeant proved that was stationed here. Then you know what I'm saying? So you gotta prove yourself all over again. Even though I did it 1,000 times, let me show you I know how to do this. What I'm telling you to do. I know how to do it right, and I know how to do it thorough. So I'm gonna do it a few times. They oh wow, yes. But that's just how the younger generation is. You just think that the older people or the people in charge never done it before. It's just this thing.
You gotta prove it.
It's human nature.
They,
It's human nature.
it has to be
They have to
proven.
see it. They have to see. Even though I
They
did it
have
a
to
million
see it.
times, and I'm lightweight upset that I got to show you, that I got to prove it to you. You know what I mean? Even though I did it before, but it's just how it goes.
It's the nature.
Yes.
It's their nature.
Yes.
It's human
now.
nature.
Yes.
And it's their nature
Yes.
that you think that you just stepped in and I just got here. You know what I mean? I never did this before. I never had to do what you did. So with kids, it's just being patient. And you got to count your wins with them. You know what I'm saying?
They don't think that you were 16.
Yeah, they
Oh,
don't
no,
think of that.
not
You
at
know,
all.
they really.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even think like that. Like maybe because I used to say about Devin, I would say. I even went to the school he went to, and I was in the major work program that he was in.
Same
and
school?
Same school.
Oh, wow.
His dad went to the same school too, but some of those same teachers that I had was there when he got there.
Yeah.
So I knew the culture of the school, and I was like, at this time of the year, we have a project that's due like over spring break.
Yeah.
And he kept saying he had no project, and I said, oh, he has a
got a
project. He has a project. Oh no, I don't. I said, oh, he has a project, and so we reached out to the teacher. Dad reached out to the teacher. and found out that he had a project. So now
I remember y'all
you
saying
had
so.
you had
Yeah.
a month to get this done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, and his dad believed him, but I knew better.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm you, JP. I'm the stern one. I'm like, you're not getting that over on me. So he literally had to sit up at the table like for days on end, sleepy and crying because I'm like, nope, you gotta get it done. You gotta get, and then even at that, he did it. He did an excellent job. He's very intelligent, very intelligent. Did an excellent project, but now you're down a grade for turning it in late. The teacher gave you grace, but you still lost it. It should have been an A, and you got a B. That was a consequence of not getting it done. But it was like it's like I've been here before.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know this.
Yeah.
And I know
They don't
what's
believe
going on, right? And so had to prove myself,
I
right?
don't believe it.
So that's just the nature of it.
Yeah, according to them, they think you old. You grew up old. Like I've been in this body as your mama
Right.
since I was born. I was born like your mama.
This
That's how I
age,
came
right.
out. Like this is what it is, and they don't.
That's right. It's something funny my uncle used to say. He just say, people say back in my day, he'd be like, today is my day. Like, he was funny. You mean back in my, what you mean back in my day? Today is my day.
I'm still
I'm
here.
still alive.
Right,
I'm
I'm
still
still
here.
here.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
good,
back
yeah.
in, no, my day is today, and I'm evolving with y'all. And so it's just you know, like I'm evolving with y'all, and I
That's
think
good.
you know, with your kids, especially being a young parent, and even with our parents looking back, they still people.
Right.
And they was growing up
Yes.
too. You know what I mean?
At the same time.
At the same
Yes.
time. So we'll never think
Yes.
about that. And I'm just sending this out to people to hear this, y'all.
Yes.
Forgive your parents, man.
Yes.
For stuff.
Oh my goodness,
You know what I'm
come on.
saying?
Yeah.
They was learning too. You know what I mean? They
Yes.
wasn't perfect. And some of them, I mean, really, some of them they had no parents. I know my father, for example, he didn't have a father at all.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Both of my parents, my biological parents, only had one parent.
Yeah.
And my mother too. She only had her father was gone. You know how
Yes,
our,
yes.
as black people, you know how our families are.
Yeah.
You know, dysfunctional and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you gotta give them grace
Yes.
for where they might have missed it at because they were growing up with you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And a lot of
Yes.
times you might not even see it until you
Yes.
get a child.
That's right.
But you got to learn how to forgive. And I don't know who I'm saying this to, you know, but you got to learn how to forgive your parents for where they missed it at because they were learning just like you.
That's right.
Yep.
You
And
see what I'm
people
saying?
can't give you what they don't,
What they don't
have.
have.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just sharing with somebody the other day. I said the same thing about my grandmother. My grandmother's parents, by the time she was 7, her mother and her father had died. So her mother died giving birth. Her father died by the time she was 7. Okay. Her grandmother took her over and raised her till she was 9. And then her aunt took over and raised her till she was an adult. Oh, wow. But so she grew up in a house with people that loved her, but with her cousins. So as much as they loved her and treated her like a sister, on the inside, the root of rejection had to be there 3 times over.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're dealing with issues that we don't even know is there.
Right.
So that rejection thing was all over her.
Yeah.
So then she has 5 children. My mother being the oldest and the only girl. So a lot of things that she should have been able to impart and share and give her.
Yeah.
She didn't have to give her.
She didn't have
so
to
all
give,
of that compassion and all of that love. And my grandmother was funny and very loving. Right. But, you know, I think that it developed over time because, you know, I'm the huggy one. So I'm going to climb all over you and hug all over you anyway. You know, but she didn't have that. So coming along, I'm sure she wasn't hugging and kissing all over my uncles and my mother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then consequently, then my mother evolves and then she has children. And now she's basically a single parent out here working, trying to take care of us. So where those of us that needed gifts, we had stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't go without. We never had missed a meal. And she might have been strategic in the way she fed us, and we weren't even aware of it.
Right.
But we didn't miss meals. We had lights. We had gas. We had, you know, water and all of those things. She might have been paying it on the day that it was due. We didn't know that either.
Right.
We had a phone. We had everything. We had clothes, shoes, everything that we needed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But how much of a struggle was it for her? And then if she was doing all of that to make sure we had what we needed physically, how much of the emotional stuff could she really give us?
That's
Educationally, we had every book, every dictionary, every encyclopedia, because she was making sure that she downloaded as much information because she would say, I don't have dumb children. She would say that all the time. I don't have average children. She said, C's are not acceptable in my house. I mean, we were scrambling. You got to see, you start sweating bullets. I can't go home. I mean, because it wasn't accepted in the house.
Yeah.
But so we had all of that. But then the other part
Was missing.
was
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah.
And I saw God really transpose or you know, just do a makeover in her life.
Yeah.
Just like you said, when you walked into the house with these children, with my nieces and nephews, my brother's children,
Yeah.
literally, because my brother's children are the sweetest, most loving, huggingest. I love you every time you talk to
Yeah,
them.
talking about nieces.
Every 5 minutes, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't hear that in the house.
Yeah.
We knew it was understood,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it wasn't
Wasn't
spoken
said,
very
though.
often.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you know, I remember I had to get a breakthrough to
Yeah.
be able to say it, not
Yeah.
because I didn't feel it, but because
Yeah.
it wasn't said.
That's
And so,
right.
but my nieces and nephews, it was a major
Since day one,
breakthrough in
yeah.
my family, and
Yeah.
I mean they broke that thing,
Yeah.
and it's like you can, literally to this day, and they all grown. You can't call them without you text them. I love you is at the end of every sentence, and my mother when she hangs up she says love you.
Yeah.
Or if I say it first, she says
That's
love you
good.
more.
That's
So
Yeah.
it's a breakthrough,
That's good,
and
yeah.
so you know you have to know. People can't give you what they don't have. She didn't have it. And God had to break through and give it to her. And now she pours it out. And y'all
Yeah.
know how she is.
Yes.
She gonna hug all over
Hug
you and
you
all
big
of that.
time, right.
She's a very loving person, but
Yeah.
she needed a breakthrough
had to learn that,
be
though.
able to give it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, disclaimer, I don't know who needs to hear that. Give your parents a break. If
Yeah.
they couldn't give you what you needed, sometimes they don't have it. And
Yeah,
and,
that's
and,
right.
and Steve shares, and I'm sure he'll share at another time, but he shares how he was with his dad.
Yeah.
And his father was the same way.
Yeah.
Didn't have parents, and basically they were raising themselves. They didn't grow up in the South. They
Yeah.
grew up in Rhode Island. Who grows up in Rhode Island? They grew
Right.
up in Rhode Island,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But and so he was around, but that nurture and
Yeah.
that he didn't get it
Yeah.
because he didn't have it.
Yeah.
He didn't have parents
Right.
to give it to them.
Yeah.
And so Steve said the Lord dealt with him, and he said, I'm an adult, so now I can take just as much responsibility for our relationship as he can. A lot of us get older, and we're still holding our parents to this standard that they never lived up to.
That's right.
And we don't do anything to change it and let people go to their graves without reconciliation and without seeing what we can do to create and establish a good bond, whatever it looks like, whatever
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's just we friends and we can go to dinner every once in a while. That might be all we can muster up. But
Yeah.
try it and see what you can do. Forgive and see if you can come in and try to make a difference, you know, and reestablish a relationship with your parents while they are yet living.
Yeah, because I think the other thing too is that, you know, we always talk about this word forgiveness, right? And
Yes.
really, what does that really mean? And I think me and you might have been talking too about it, about forgiveness is more so for the person internally, right?
Absolutely.
And so even as parents, like I had to, when I got divorced, because once again, as parents, we don't always know what we don't know, right?
Right.
We don't know if
Right.
we've done something wrong or we're not doing it right. We don't always know what the pattern
Right.
is, like you just said. But the one thing as parents that I learned is I as a parent have to say sorry
Yes.
to my children
Yes.
as well, regardless if I understand why I'm saying it
Yeah.
and regardless if they take it in that way. And so even with me getting divorced, I knew divorce was the best thing for my kids. I knew it was time. I knew it was a thing. I knew we were ready.
Yes.
And I knew that no matter what, I had to release them enough to know that forgive me if I've missed a step.
Yes.
And
yes.
so I even think it's a two-way street. Yes, children forgive your parents because they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
But also, too, parents say sorry.
Right.
Just ask for forgiveness too and walk away. Because at the end of the day, we all are responsible for some part of that relationship.
Absolutely.
Some part of it. We both
Absolutely.
play a part in that relationship. And sometimes what you find out, especially as parents, that you didn't even really know your kids.
Right.
You thought you knew them,
Right.
but you really don't know them.
Right.
And that's what I had to learn about my oldest daughter. I thought I knew some things about her, but I'm finding out more about some of her personalities and things about her that is helping me help her a little bit differently and also see her differently. And so not be so judgmental, but be willing to allow her places and spaces to express because, I'm not getting any younger and neither is she.
And I also think, too, that we become Christians and then we set this standard for our children. We expect them to be as saved as we are, you know, and we forgot, you know, you've been 24. Were you walking at 24 like you're walking now? Why do you expect your 24-year-old child to be like you are now? They accepted Christ, but you had to work out your own soul salvation.
Absolutely.
And we don't allow our children to work it out. We expect them to be where we are. You evolve.
You completely evolve. And because you also know everybody's life is planned for them. God already had an ideal and a set plan for your life. And the steps I had to take. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents were entrepreneurs, pretty well off. I grew up in a Christian household. My dad was a pastor. Like, this was my family. Like, I grew up in a very good home. But the things that I had to go through in my life catapulted me to where I'm at today.
Exactly.
And if I would not have gone through those things that were not to do anything with my family, I would not have understood my path in my life today. Right. Yeah. And so you're right. There's things you got to go through. I cannot shield you. And I tell people all the time, even when I used to teach parenting, there is things you have to allow your kids to go through and deal with, but you cannot always be the stepping stone, and you cannot always be the crutch. Like, you got to let them bump their head every once in a while so they can see it.
It's like that song, I think Regina Bell recorded it, If I Could.
Yeah.
And she's saying, I'd keep you from the world you never knew, but there isn't much more that I can do, but I would if I could. I would try to shield your innocence from time.
Everything.
But the part of life I gave you isn't mine. And so it's like, I got to let you go so you can grow.
Yeah.
I have to allow you to make mistakes. And even though it hurts me to watch you make them, because I see where you're walking. Yeah. I can warn you, but I can't. I have to allow you to do it. I can warn you, but then I have to step back and let you walk it out.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Just having that conversation.
Yeah, and that's good, because that's why you need both parents in the household.
Come on.
That's why it's important, right? Because mothers are nurturers by nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the father, like, listen, especially if it's a male. Listen, my man. You know what I mean? And no emotion in it. Like, this is what you need to do, or this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And fortunately, I was blessed to have 2 fathers in my life. You know what I mean? My biological father and my uncle. You know what I mean? And it balanced me off. Just to know that about the life is real. My uncle would tell me, man, speak in tongues all you want. My man, if you don't handle your business, it's not gonna be handled. The end.
Period.
And he was saying, he was saying, but he knew life, and that's why you need both parents, because the mother's gonna nurture. That's what she is by nature. She can't help but nurture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why you need that balance in the household for the father to be like, look, okay, you're not gonna get that from me, so forget about it. I'm gonna tell you, if you do this, this is what's gonna happen. And nobody, I heard Chris Rock say it one time, comedian. I like him. My wife don't like him. But he's funny to me.
Him too.
But he said this to his children. He said, I make sure my children know how real the world is. He said when they go out the house, he said real loud, nobody outside of this house likes you or cares about you. Let me tell you, he said nobody outside this house cares nothing about you. And look, and some people in this house even suspected you. If you want to be real with it, because the world is cold, man.
Yes.
You gotta let kids know that it's cold.
Yeah.
And it's good. You want to prepare them for life. You know what I mean? Because it's a whole. They got to be able to take stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why
coping skills. They're lacking it right now.
They gotta have coping skills. Yes. They gotta be able to deal with how to deal with life, how to deal with rejection.
Yeah.
How to deal with
kids can't deal with
how to deal with everything. That's why you need both parents in the household.
Yes.
To balance the whole thing off. You know what I mean?
And we're the opposite. Steve is like,
you're
very
the enforcer. He the soul.
Yes, he is he has a compassion gift.
Yes.
Yeah,
God gave it to him. He got a pastor's heart. Right. And I learned to have one. Yeah. Because I'm like, no. And Steve goes, well, and he was the one like especially the boys, I say they're not getting it. He cash apping when I'm not looking. He's that one. Yeah, he's that one. Yeah, he is. But I thank God for him, because again, it's a balance. There's a balance. Because I be saying no all the time.
Yeah,
and
that's him. They be like, JP and that no boy is like, woo, it is matter of fact. It is no in between. But they've learned what makes a difference for him. Like, once again, it's not necessarily a tit for tat, but it is responsibility. and you once again you still have to teach. Like it's not like no, if
Things aren't going to be given to you. Things must
need
be
to,
earned.
you know, it's the type of thing. The one thing he knows that I don't play around is my kid's birthday.
That's right.
Now that's the one thing I do not play around with about my kid's birthday.
Celebration.
Celebration.
That was a big thing for y'all because you didn't do a whole lot of celebrating. And she's big on celebrating.
I remember, like, I told her.
Yeah, we just had that conversation.
Hey, listen, y'all, I remember I just had a birthday, man. Like, what the heck? Yo, the dude is only 6. Chill out. But you know, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's different. I was meant to ask my mother about this. I don't remember us in my household personally making big deals about birthdays. I mean, we had it, but not her family. It's everything. It's everything. But that's cool,
like
though.
that with us too.
But I said I turned 6. I think I'm at 7. I don't remember no birthdays after that. You know what I'm saying? Here's your gift, dude. You know, God bless you. I know. I came up good. I was the baby. I came up well, but I just don't remember a lot of emphasis on the birthday. I don't remember recall that growing up.
Yeah. And I mean, it is different because maybe the emphasis were at Christmas or maybe the emphasis were, was at school. You know, we all got all these new school clothes because, we needed to be dressed, you know me. Right. Everything need to be a certain kind of way, or or something like that. So for me, that was important. Or maybe my mother was big on Christmas, or and we had colored cakes for birthday. My mother went to cake decorating.
So y'all was them.
So we had all these,
See, it ain't just me.
My favorite color. My brother's cakes was blue, and my pet cake was red. And she had all these decorations and stuff. So those were important. It was important to her. Yeah. We celebrated all the holidays because that's just how my mother was.
Yeah.
We had Easter baskets on the table.
Sure did.
We was at church with our new Easter outfits on.
Sure
so
was.
She made a big to do about all, and we cut up jack-o'-lanterns and cooked and baked pumpkin seeds.
Absolutely.
In the oven. We did all of that stuff.
Sure did.
Wow.
Sure did.
Yes.
Sure
so
did.
as much as like I said, even as I said, my mother wasn't super duper like. I love you.
Right.
She did all the stuff. Yeah. She did all the stuff.
Service.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's good you brought that up because I was going to say, based on your love language, so sometimes it's how you respond to that because,
But mine is physical touch. So
right.
I need to, she'd be like, I was always climbing on her lap because
I need you to touch me.
Yeah.
I need some physical contact.
Yes.
And you think about that, honestly, that is how it is because growing up for me, celebrations were very, very big because my dad was a very affectionate man. Yeah. My dad loved affection. And so because of that, he loved people. He loved my mother. And so because of that, celebrations were important. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, Christmas. And my mother was a big cooker. Because my grandmother was a big cooker. There was nothing celebrated in my grandmother's house. That was always at the house. Great big table, and there was always a spread of food for birthdays and everything. So that's kind of where I got it from. Yeah. And so I don't understand. So when we got together, and I was like, and we have the same birthday, so that was also an issue,
which I think is so cute.
Right, no, same birthday.
It's cute. I think it's a divine appointment.
No, it ain't cute.
Yes, cute.
No. It ain't cute for him because now he realized he got to really celebrate.
Gotta celebrate.
It ain't cute.
But see, again, God is so intentional to bring that balance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you might get old one day and start feeling uncelebrated.
Listen. See?
And now that won't happen.
Yeah. And this even brings me back to the point.
My man, he feel me. We talking in the spirit.
Really? That's happening. But it brings me back to a thought though about whole thing about when you are ready. And so once again, he don't celebrate holidays, right? And so when we first started dating, we started dating around this time around the holiday.
No, that's not I don't celebrate holidays.
No. Let me finish my point.
Okay, go ahead.
See?
Go ahead.
That's that military. That's that no, right?
But she said.
But she said, right. That's what this is. But for our very first Christmas together, he bought me a Christmas gift. He bought me a gift. He was like, I was like, Dad,
it was a gesture.
You got all the out of your comfort.
It was a gesture.
He was like, Mel, guess what? I said, what?
Yeah, because I called and told Mel. I said, he bought me a Christmas gift. I was like, yeah, that's it. That's it. I got him. Oh, and so he knows like those things are important. And even more so for kids, I think it just, once again, it's a celebration of life for them. Birthdays is all about celebration of life.
That you
Nothing
are
else.
important.
That you are important
It's
on that day.
establishing.
It's an establishment of that being your day of celebration.
Yes.
And it's only milestones, so I mean, every birthday you getting some cake and ice cream.
Really?
Right.
We're gonna do some cake and ice cream.
Right,
You
still
already know
celebrate,
that.
but do
cake and
major
ice cream.
celebrations
But major
for major
celebrations are
milestones,
milestones because he be cracking up. He was like, "Is this a milestone?" I'd be like, "Yes, 18 is a
And
milestone.
let me
18
say
is a
something about
milestone.
black people.
16 is a milestone."
Give me your baby is 3 years old. These parties turn into an adult. This ain't for no baby. This is for the adult. You know what happens a lot of times.
Very
so,
true,
yeah.
but-
I'm just talking about us, how we do.
But
For the
it's still
4-year-old baby.
balances. But it's
Huh?
still a balance.
Yeah, it's a balance.
And let me also say, don't mean to cut you off, but I also want to say, I really did birthdays and celebrate like that because it was a time to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
Because I was working and because I was in ministry and because my ex-husband was working, like we were doing so many things that this was a day that we came together and celebrated. Because unfortunately, we were a typical black household. We were not eating dinner together at the table. We were in there sitting at the TV, watching TV, having dinner, or the kids were little, they had their own little table they would sit at, and we over here eating. And so it wasn't always a time where you spent together as a family. But birthdays, we were all together, and it meant that my undivided attention was toward them.
Yeah.
And so that's why birthdays and celebrations like that have been so big for me. Not necessarily Thanksgiving and Christmas, but birthdays, oh, we're going to have a birthday party.
And it definitely does establish something. And so years to come, they will have all these memories. And when the enemy tries to come and say, you don't matter, it's like, no, because my mother always celebrated the fact that I'm not a mistake.
Absolutely.
She celebrated the fact that I was here. And every year on my birthday, she reminded me that I'm important. So it is really good. You know, a lot of people don't, but I appreciate that because, that's the way it happened with us too.
Yeah.
So but I appreciate the perspective that you're giving for that. Not just because we want to blow up some balloons, and I love balloons, but not just because we want to blow up some balloons and play some music and have a party, And I was so big on it that when we turned 10, I had my sister had 2 brothers. So that's a whole nother show. But my sister had 2 brothers that were in school with me, and we were all in the same class because we were all in enrichment.
Oh, wow.
So we confused the heck out of all of the teachers. But our birthdays are all within a week and a half.
Oh, my God.
And so I remember we were turning 10 years old, and I think my mother had decided I wasn't having a party. But I decided that I was having a party. So I called up.
Yourself.
I called up my sister's.
That sounds like Mel.
Herself.
That
sounds like
10
Mel.
years old. I called up my
Alrighty.
sister's stepmother, Barbara. I love you so much. And I called her up, and I said, I want us to have a party. So me and the 2 brothers, because we all called each other sister and brother. So it was Roy and Troy and me. And we were all in the same class, and we were all the same age. So when we turned 10, we had us a birthday party over to their house, which was around the corner from our house anyway. And when my mother found out, I think the day of, she said, I didn't even know they were having a party. She was over there. She had got our cake. I had sent out invitations. All our classmates came. And all I know is they were playing, "Oh, Freak Out." And we were just...
I
And
cannot.
to this day, all of my classmates remember our 10th birthday party because it was a big to-do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's like... So again, I'm saying that to say... It's a memory that not just us have, all our friends have the exact same memory. So, so sometimes I say all the time, you know how we talk about when you know what the word says concerning you, when the enemy comes to say something contrary to that, you can counteract the negative word with what the word is. The same is true with positive establishments in your life. When the enemy comes to say negative things or people, the enemy uses people to say negative things to you, you can look back and say, well, that's not true because my mother always made sure that she told me. So when the devil comes to say, kill yourself, you don't matter. No, my mother said that every year that I was alive was major and important. You see what I'm saying? So we can look at it that way. It's not just, spoiling the kids, giving them everything that they want. Of course, there's always balance. And, don't go broke when you can't pay your rent. Trying to buy, red bottoms for your 12-year-old.
Please don't.
Whole nother.
But establishing and making sure that a child feels important, I think that's really, really good.
It is.
And it is because you made me think about something. So most people who know me know my son died from suicide last year, and so he was 19. And so when we talk about memories, thing about that is that the enemy did try to tell us we weren't good parents. And when it came to planning his funeral, even my daughter brought this up recently, is that his siblings from his mother, they all came to the funeral with a T-shirt on. They had created this T-shirt or sweatshirt. They had one picture of him. Where if you go back and look at my kids' shirts, my kids had collages of pictures. We had so many pictures. Like there were pictures on my ex-husband's computer. There was pictures on we had over 2,000 pictures from him from the age of 11 months old when I got him until the age of 18. Even when he was 16 when he moved out of my house. But even when he went back to his mom. But up until that time, we had over 2,000 photos. And so there is not a bad memory.
Right.
Yep, he did die. He died by suicide in a tragic way, but his life was not lived tragically.
Right.
So that's the memory that we continue to remember about
James.
You can
counteract every time the enemy tries to say something.
Absolutely. So when
and you can pull up a picture that will counteract.
Yes, that
thing.
was so good because we see that even at the house on the TV. Because everybody got Alexa and all that stuff. So
screensavers
be coming across the TV. Yeah. And so there's pictures that come across the TV of him, and you see him, and it's like, oh, good memory. And so you're right. Those are not just because we just want to have some cake and ice cream, but it does set memories to counteract. So that's very good. I like that.
Amen. Well, I wanted to talk about one more thing before our time winds up here, and that is so now that you guys are being elevated in ministry, I try not to make this all about just ministry because I want us to talk about everything that deals with us, because we are all human beings and we do human being stuff.
Yes.
And we live in the body and we got to deal with body stuff and human stuff and soul stuff and spiritual stuff. But in the midst of getting married and in the midst of, reestablishing a family and all of that, you transition, you got a new job, you got elevated, you do some training, and you started a new business. We don't have a whole lot of time, but I do want you to explain to them or tell them about your businesses. And so that's why I said there must be balance, because you guys are doing a whole lot of stuff.
Whole lot. Go ahead, babe. I'll let you take the spotlight, because most people already know about my stuff, but your business is new.
Okay, I just started a business. It's actually credit repair. My actual name of my business is Right Time Credit Restore, and we just started. We're helping people get their credit restored. A lot of times, I say for people in general, people in the church really a lot. We want to spiritualize everything.
Come on.
You know what I mean? The Lord is going to cancel the debt. Maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Speaking tongues for 20 minutes.
I want him to erase all of it. I do. But what if he doesn't do that? So what you going to do now?
Right.
And so I'm really passionate about this business because we need credit is credit worthiness. What the Bible say? A good name, y'all know.
That's right.
A good name is better than what? Money, right?
Yeah.
And so this business is all about getting your name back, your credit worthiness back, because we want ownership, y'all, right? We don't want to rent no more. It's time to own. We want to possess the land. What the Bible say? We want to possess the land. How do you do that? And so the first step to possessing the land is getting your credit repaired. Okay, for you can purchase a house. Credit is no way to get around it. You know how embarrassing it is when they pull if you get nervous. You know how it is when they pull your credit report. At first they smiling at you, right? But then they come back. You know how it is. They come back and say, well, this and that. So let's stop that. Let's change the dynamic. Let's get our credit repaired. Okay.
What's your website?
And my website is www.righttimecreditrestore.com. So that's www.righttimecreditrestore.com. And so, if you go on my website, you can book a free consultation there. And I tell people the first step to getting your credit repaired is knowing what's on your credit. All right. Step one. Let's figure out, let's see what's on there, and then we'll go from there. We'll get you, get your credit score up. You can live the dream you want to dream. You can purchase that house, right? Get a new car, refinance, right? Because our slogan. Matter of fact, the slogan for my company name, it's actually on the company logo, is the slave. The borrower is a slave to the lender, right? So if you buy a house or buy a car, you're paying. You want to say the Lord bless you with it, but your interest rate is like something ridiculous, like an 18%. Is that really a blessing, or are you a slave to that thing? So let's change the dynamic, y'all. Let's really possess the land, but let's first get our credit clear. So I'm excited about our business. I'm excited about also have a product a company I partner with called Rental Karma, and we can actually report your good rental payments, on-time rental payments to your credit report. So it's a game changer. So holla at me, okay? Holla at me.
Is that information also on your Facebook page?
Yes, you can visit my Facebook page.
Because you are already tagged on here
Yes,
on your Facebook page.
Yes,
So
visit my Facebook page. Be information about the business on there. But really, y'all, let's we have many different resources and tools to help you build your credit. Okay, let's not just fake it till we make it. Let's actually make it. Let's try to make it, please.
and so Yolanda, you have you're doing mental health first aid training.
Yes. Yes. So I do mental health first aid training, basically teaching folks in the community, folks who don't have any type of mental health or any type of degree, how to respond to those who are having any type of mental health or substance abuse challenge. And so it's really just giving you a way of having a conversation with someone, seeing what those signs and symptoms look like, and getting the help they need immediately. Someone who has lived experience, how someone has talked to me has changed my life. And so it's not always therapy is necessary, but a conversation can be necessary. And so I just teach you how to have that conversation.
Is that information available on your Facebook page?
Yes. So what you can do if you are interested, I'm going to be sending out my new calendar for the new year. So if you're interested, just hit, you'll see the dates. Just tag me and let me know if you're interested, and I will send you more information.
And that class is excellent because I have taken it. And so I am a mental health first aider.
Yes.
Oh, you got it right. Aider.
It's really good.
Aider.
Yes.
And so I encourage you all to take the class as well. And I'm just so happy that you guys came by to just, talk a little bit. It's like, it seems like we have a lot of time and we always run out of time,
Yeah,
but I'm excited. You guys have been
real.
amazing. You're a wonderful couple. I appreciate who you are and what you all are doing. Again, of course, I'm a little biased. She's my friend, and now this is my sister. Yeah. And now I'm like, that's my bro. Right. So I'm just really happy for you guys, and you're doing amazing. You're doing wonderful.
Thank you.
And I am excited to see what else God is going to do.
Yes.
And so you do know that I mentioned before, but I vowed to myself that I would make mention every time that we came on to let you guys know I have written 2 books. So one of the books is called, and I do not have them in my possession, but they are available if you look on my Facebook page, and I will post them again. One is called I Am Superwoman, and this is just a self-help book of encouragement to women to tap into your God-given gifts. It has been co-written by my sister-in-law, Pamela Smith. It is on Amazon. If you look up my name, both books come up. The second book that I've written is called, what is the second book? How to Have a God Kind of Marriage, Hearts of Fire. Hearts of Fire. And it's a self-help book for couples. 2 easy reads.
Yes.
There, it is also on Amazon. And if you are interested, I will put a link on my Facebook page to make it available. I am so glad that you guys stopped by today, and I am so happy to just have an opportunity to encourage you all again. Continue to pray for Stephen Smith, and he will be here the next time with me, because remember, the name of the show is He Said, She Said. So stop by next month, the first Tuesday of every month at 6:30. See you in January. So right now, I'll just say so long for now. Goodbye.